A storybook ending would be Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl MVP, and then he'll retire off into the sunset at the end of the year. And that's what I predict what will happen at the end of the 2022 NFL season. Hello, my name is Mike Jones, and today you are listening to Jonesin on the Mic, the very first episode of my podcast where I will be covering all things sports, but mainly football. And today in the episode, I will be covering the 2022 NFL season preview, where I make some of my own bold predictions about stats, best records, Super Bowl matchup, NFL honors, and then I'll also cover some college football from the University of Michigan, Michigan State Spartans, and a little bit of Division III with the John Carroll Blue Streaks. So I want to start off by saying this is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I believe this is something I will eventually want to do in my career. So I said, you know what, why not? Let's start my own podcast. And here we are today. So let's kick it off with my 2022 NFL season predictions for stat leaders. So I made this list about a week ago. Obviously, I've tweaked it back and forth just to see, where these players would end up as the stat leaders. So I started off with the passing yards, and I started thinking, all right, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? I personally believe it's going to be Dak Prescott, and here's why. Last 2 years, he has been on pace to lead the league in passing, but he's been dealing with injuries, and Ezekiel Elliott not being the same will really force Dak Prescott and the Cowboys to throw the ball more. Amari Cooper's gone, yes, so that's one weapon Dak doesn't have anymore. But CeeDee Lamb is going to be in store for a very, very big season. I believe that will obviously be Dak Prescott's number one target, where he will be feeding him the football. Dalton Schultz, the tight end, will be catching a lot of passes for Dak. Michael Gallup and a bunch of other receivers. Tony Pollard catching passes out of the backfield really, sticks out to me. That I feel will be the reason why Dak leads the league in passing, just because Ezekiel Elliott, ever since his rookie year, has not been the same. He had a great rookie campaign, and statistically, he has been trending down ever since then. So that is my prediction for the passing yards leader. Now, who will lead the league in rushing yards is another player who's been plagued by injuries. And the last season, he was on pace to lead the league, but had to miss the rest of the year due to injury, and that will be Derrick Henry. The loss of A.J. Brown also forces more runs to Derrick Henry, where he will be again the primary ball carrier. And again, I think he is top 3 running back in the league. I don't have him on my number 1 just because for certain reasons, but Derrick Henry, they feed him the ball all the time down there in Tennessee. He's behind a decent O-line, and with this quarterback controversy that they have in the Titans quarterback room with the whole Malik Willis, Ryan Tannehill thing, I believe that Tannehill is not going to be able to be himself, and they're going to be like, you know what? We are just going to turn around, run the ball with Derrick Henry because we have arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL on our backfield. He's a 6'3", big body running back, but he runs like at a crazy speed. He's got all the intangibles, and obviously he's got the crazy stuff for him. So I believe he will just be the workhorse down there in Tennessee, getting just rush yard after rush yard after rush yard. He'll get probably 30 carries a game. That's probably what's going to happen. Again, the loss of A.J. Brown is huge because he was far and away their best receiver, and that is going to be the reason Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing yards. So now I'm going over to receiving yards, and this is one of my bolder predictions. My dark horse to lead the league in receiving yards, will be Stephon Diggs. I believe Josh Allen is in for a big season, and the emergence of Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox, it leaves a little bit more for Stephon Diggs to be one-on-one. His route running is up there with the best. He's, I believe, probably the best out route runner in the league. He also is very underrated when it comes to running after the catch. I would not be surprised if we see Stephon Diggs, catch like a little 10-yard out, pick up the first down, and then he's one-on-one with a corner, which he could probably make the corner miss, and then he's in a foot race with the safety who has to take a great pursuit angle. But I wouldn't be surprised if Stephon Diggs gets a little sticky with it and takes a couple to the house. And I believe that overtime loss that the Bills had against the Chiefs in the playoffs is going to fuel their entire season. All 18 weeks, all 17 games, like, these guys are going to be coming out for blood. They are going to want to just pound everybody just into the dirt, and they are going to light up the sky with Josh Allen throwing the ball all over the place. And Stephon Diggs is going to be on the other end of that. So now we're going to go move over to the touchdowns category. Passing touchdown is not Dak Prescott, and it's not going to be Josh Allen. I believe it's Joe Burrow. And a trend that I've been noticing with a lot of quarterbacks and even younger guys in the league, the jump from year 2 to year 3 is usually pretty big. I noticed that with Josh Allen, especially. Like, he stands out to me. I wouldn't even say it was a good first year. Like, his rookie year was okay. Then his second year, he took a big step in the right direction. And then the progression I saw from year 2 to year 3, in my eyes, was one of the best we've probably ever seen. And it's almost kind of like a new trend that I've noticed the past couple of years. So that's why I believe Joe Burrow will make that big jump. Especially, like, he just came off of a big Super Bowl run. Took the league kind of by storm. And if you really think about it, like, Joe Burrow has a lot of different targets on the field. There will be a lot of big plays to be had. I mean, their receiver core, their top 3 receivers, obviously Jamar Chase, number 1. Then you got, like, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And then the addition of Hayden Hurst, who's a pretty good pass-catching tight end. And then you got Joe Mixon in the backfield. And then you got Chris Evans back there with him as well. Like, that offense is loaded at the skill positions. And it's almost like if a guy gets a bunch of, like, dirt bikes and ATVs. Like, you just have a bunch of toys to play with. And, like, Joe Burrow is going to just have a blast. He's going to have a blast this year. He's going to throw a lot of touchdowns. I can't put a number on it. But he's going to lead the league in passing touchdowns. And I just want to, like, clarify one thing. On this list, like, all these predictions, obviously these are barring that all these players are healthy. So now we're going to go back over to rushing touchdowns. And as of today, Friday, June 17th, there are reports that the NFL is looking to suspend Deshaun Watson for a full year. And obviously Baker's angry, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Nick Chubb is going to lead the league in rushing touchdowns. Yes, he splits carries with Kareem Hunt. But Nick Chubb, like, doesn't get the same amount of carries as Derrick Henry does, or that Jonathan Taylor did last year. But Nick Chubb is a premier back in the league, and in my own opinion, from watching, film and watching him and seeing him play, I believe he will be the best running back in the NFL at the end of the 2022 NFL season, and that will be because he leads the league in rushing touchdowns. So the controversy at quarterback, if the Browns do decide to trade Baker and Deshaun, for whatever reason, is then suspended for the entire year, who's going to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns? Well, we don't know that. And so what's going to happen is that offensive line is a great run-blocking offensive line. And they are just going to say, Nick Chubb, you are the workhorse this year for us. We are going to feed you the football. And he will be a great, great part of their success. Now, do I think they'll make the playoffs? No. That's my bold prediction. But if Deshaun Watson does play, they will make the playoffs. But right now, as of today, I believe Nick Chubb will lead the league in rushing touchdowns. Receiving touchdowns is going to be Justin Jefferson. Like I kind of said before with Joe Burrow, that jump from year 2 to year 3 is obviously it's going to be big. And his quarterback is Kirk Cousins, who statistically is statistically a good quarterback. He puts up the stats. Will they win very many games? I don't know. That's something to be seen, and that's something we will see. And obviously, Kirk Cousins, like, his favorite target is right now is Justin Jefferson. The amount of star power that Justin Jefferson has brought to the league, like, just what he's been able to do the past 2 years has been incredible, and I believe that he will have a lot of receiving touchdowns, where I feel maybe his receiving yards might go down because Dalvin Cook might stay healthy and Adam Thielen staying healthy. But obviously, like, none of these are guarantees that people are going to stay healthy. And, load management, you see that a little bit towards the end of the season in the NFL. If a team is in the playoff race, which I don't think the Vikings will be. So I believe if Justin Jefferson stays healthy, he plays every single game in the regular season, and he will lead the league in receiving touchdowns. So over to the defensive side of the ball. The NFL sack leader is not going to be Aaron Donald. It's not going to be Von Miller. It's not going to be Robert Quinn. It's not Trey Hendrickson. It's going to be T.J. Watt. I believe he's going to repeat. I mean, after the previous season, he just had Defensive Player of the Year, sack record and all this. He won't have that same kind of production, but he will, again, lead the league in sacks on a very good Pittsburgh defense, where that is basically the mantra of the whole team, is just play great defense and hold your opponents to very, very little points and production. So now we're going to move over to the